Today's guest is Saira Hayati, a financial consultant, influencer, and entrepreneur. Known for her bold takes on money and life, Saira has been on a transformative spiritual journey, embracing her faith as a practicing Muslim, which has shaped her work and sparked both admiration and some controversy from recent comments. Last year, she left the UK for Malaysia, seeking a fresh start, but recently returned. In this episode, Saira shares the real reasons behind her move, what she learnt abroad, and why she came back. We also discuss her entrepreneurial journey, her transition from consultant to influencer, and how far faith influences her work. So whether you're a fan or just curious, this conversation is packed with honesty and insight. Let's get to it. So first and foremost, hello and welcome back to London.
Assalamu alaikum to you too.
And ya walaikum assalam.
Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum, Saira. Welcome back to London.
Yeah,
how does it feel to be back?
Cold as straight through my bones.
Really?
That's the only thing, right? Yeah, we're here. It's so cold that I don't even see daylight some days. I don't want to go out.
Was there anything you missed?
Only my mum. Apart from that.
What was the first place you came to eat when you got back here? Was there anything you missed, like food-wise? No, at all.
No. I was searching for a Malaysian restaurant. Found it though, Upton Lane. It was really nice. Went for it Malaysian last night as well.
Did you find any Asian restaurants in Malaysia?
Loads.
Oh, really?
Loads and loads. Good Pakistani, good Pathan, good Afghan, good Arab, good everything. Everything you want. This is the danger of that's the two things, shopping and food, dangerous in Malaysia.
How long was you gone for?
You could say on and off it was a year.
About a year?
Yeah, December I started my journey and then I came back for a short visit and then took the boys back with me and then I came back at the end of December, which wasn't planned, by the way. I wasn't planning on coming back.
Mm-hmm. Was there a final straw that made you just, okay, I'm going now? I mean, everybody thinks about migration. But was there something that was just like, okay, now I'm doing this?
I tell you, if you want the absolute honest truth, October the 7th was the first thing. I dealt with mortgages, so enlightening myself there with the interest that's going for, to that cause, that conflict. And then taxes, obviously huge changes, government's changing, taxes coming in, and even more than that. So they're the two things that stirred the pot. And then some tests that Allah gave me, immense tests in my eyes. I've done lots of tests in my time, but these were like huge tests. And that was where Allah called me in, let's say, we can call it. I mean, I was practicing, but not, real practice. And so I got the tests and that pulled me right in, as in, you will jump out of bed for the Tahajjud and you will pray because you have a need now. You need to ask Allah because there's nowhere else to turn. So that came in. And I can say that there were two episodes. One where I think I was, that when you get tests, they kind of like have their peaks, don't they? And then they kind of start to subside. So when they start to subside, so does your behavior. So maybe you don't need the Tahajjud as much, and UK, the timings change. So, okay, I'm only going to wait for Fajr because I need my sleep. And so I wasn't praying at that time. One day I woke up, 5:30, actually must have been around January, actually. It was around January. And I woke up and it was like, why the hell am I wide awake at this time? And I thought, okay, maybe I need to go pray the Tahajjud. That's what it is. I was wide awake. So I went off, prayed, opened the Quran and read it in English. I can read it in Arabic, but I read it in English to see if there's anything that Allah's trying to tell me, because I know that is Allah talking to you. And when I opened it, there was, I've got a Quran that's got the Bukhari. I think it's the Bukhari or it's Hadith inside. And it was the story of Prophet Ibrahim and Sarah, and no, it wasn't Sarah, it's Hajra, and where they did, he had to take her to Safa Marwa and leave her, and then the migration. So something to do. I didn't think anything of it. Now, bearing in mind, everybody says to me, what's your name? And I go, Sarah as in Abraham's wife from biblical stories. So I didn't think anything of it. A couple of days later, I wake up again, 2:00 in the morning, and all I'm thinking is, what's stopping you? Because Allah made everything easy. And when I say easy, I mean super easy. All my ties, responsibilities, and sudden amount of money in my bank ready to go. Came. There's investments and stuff that I do, and it was, business partnerships that I was involved with, but it could have taken a long time, but it didn't. They just literally arrived and it was done in my bank. So now I'm thinking at 2:00 in the morning, what is stopping you from going? And actually, I thought there's nothing stopping me from going. And it was the thought that was running in my head, and call it anxiety, I don't know. I got on my phone, booked my flight, first flight out, cheapest flight out via Saudi Arabia. Now I'm thinking, okay, I need to stop and do Umrah as well, because so let's do that too. And that's where that journey began. So it wasn't overly planned. I knew that I was going to live in a foreign country, as in a Muslim country, because I have always wanted to get closer and have more knowledge. But that's just never transpired in my lifetime, I'd have to say.
You know, it's interesting, 'cause as a British person, and we're obviously not English, and a lot of people that live here want to, there's that thing with ethics. Oh, I'm British.
Yep.
You can't call me otherwise, I'm not. But I've always felt we're too Pakistani to be British and too British to be Pakistani. So maybe we have the advantage of having that flexibility that we could actually just land anywhere and make something of it. If that makes sense.
I don't think so. Like, I've traveled a bit. I went to Morocco, I went to Egypt, I went to Turkey. I owned a place in Turkey, thinking Turkey was going to be my destination. But even Dubai, been there, done that too.
It's a big one. Everybody wants to go there.
Yeah, everybody wants to go to Dubai. I don't blame them for it. It's a good place to be. Nice lifestyle, but Malaysia was nowhere on my cards. It was lots of other things, that rabbit holes that you go down, and the whole United Nations, and the fact that you want to be as far away from the conflicts. And I'd never, ever been to Malaysia as a Muslim country, because I didn't like the idea of traveling 14 hours on a plane. And then when my brother said, fine, I'll go with you, I have a laugh with my brother. We could spend hours together and you won't even realize it, and we have a real laugh. So I was like, okay, if he's saying it, let's go. And as soon as we got there, 3 days in, even he said it. This is it. This
felt right.
It just felt right. It just felt like we were sitting inside an apartment looking outside London rooftops. And so that, with everything else that we'd already seen, that was when we'd done a few days in Malacca, and then, no, not Malacca, KL, and then we went to Malacca. But Malacca was just, I don't know what it is. I just feel Allah guides you. I have to say, my doorway to Tawakkul opened up 2019, 2020. And it's not an easy process, is it? If you have it takes time for you to completely let go. Even now, when things are occurring, and then I think, no, just crack on with it. Just leave it. Allah's going to deal with it. And so that's the journey that was unfolding, I would say.
Are you now thinking, you sent me your link tree, and there's a lot going on in your link tree.
Yeah, I know.
There's a lot you're involved in.
Yes, there is.
How do you prioritize one over the other? I mean, there's so much going on, and there's always the old saying, someone told me, like, chase 2 rabbits, catch only 1.
Yeah.
But you seem to have found a way to just multitask across an array of different businesses you're involved in to some extent, as a consultant, as other...
Lots of things,
Lots of
actually.
things.
You might be right. They're like, chase 2 rabbits, only catch 1. I can probably chase 10 rabbits and catch 8, I reckon.
Okay.
I've always been capable of multitasking, but I'll give you a simple example. When I had my estate agency or my mortgage broker's business, and we'd have our morning meeting, and you'll have 10 people sat in front of you, and each one of them have got different questions, and I would easily jump between you to you to you to you to you and retain that information in my head and finish the conversation with you. I don't know how I do it. People say it's a skill, but it happens. So I can jump from many things, from, say, consulting, let's say, to new business ventures, opportunities, to simply having a conversation with a girl that manufactures samosa and sikh kebabs, which is where I was recently with, and I can just do that. And I deal with everything. I like the way my brain works.
Okay, but it doesn't feel scattered in your head at all.
Not
You've
at
got
all.
7 different things happening.
I know exactly where everything is. And then my kids will complain because I need things in the house. I have to have it all in order. I need to know where everything is. Everything's got a place.
Yeah.
And when you do things like that, then your life is in order. So I would say when I left for Malaysia, I felt like in my life I had lost control of everything. So that kind of unbalanced me. I think Allah sent me there to enjoy my life because I'd had a load of turbulence, and he said, you know what, go take a break, but you're going to enjoy yourself. And even though I was waking up at midday, there were still things that were unfolding and happening. I didn't intend on getting a job with Malaysia Gazette. They approached me. I didn't actually intend on YouTube video content of me traveling and touring. It just kind of made sense to make some content and put it on YouTube, because YouTube takes longer videos and then it just, because you can't do it on TikTok. So let's just relax and not rush into a 10-minute stint of content. Let's put it onto YouTube. And then YouTube went really well because I didn't know what was happening in the world. I know I wanted to move, and I didn't necessarily call it hijrah. I don't know the terms. I've grown up in Kent, surrounded by predominantly white people as friends, society. So I never had any of those hijabi circles, any of the Muslim friends. That's why when somebody says, I consider myself a revert, but you get the backlash. Oh, you can't say that because you are a Muslim. You were born a Muslim. All right, I am a Muslim. I was born a Muslim. Alhamdulillah to that. But my knowledge journey, mums taught us Quran. We don't know the meaning of. Parents taught us salah, namaz. You don't know the meaning of. They don't teach you any of that. You got the imams at your mosque, which we used to drive half an hour to get to. Classic old style, get it wrong and you get a whack round the back of the head. Not like it is now, not like they teach with more understanding and more love and everything. Whereas back then, that's how we had it. So as much as people say, it's your responsibility to learn. When you become an adult, you can learn. Well, try living the life of leaving your parents at age, I got married at 18 and had my first child at 20. Had responsibility of my child and my mother at age 20. And then from 20 to 40, you're literally on a treadmill. You are running, you are working, you are providing, you are doing. And the next, hurdles hit and you just keep going. So I think that's where I was for the prime 20 to 45. That's what I was doing. And then you can educate. My education was I learned how to do financial planning. I learned how to do business. I learned property management because that was what was the direction. And my mother, she is quite deep. And even for her, she started her journey into Islam more when she was 47, 48, after the rat race had, you got to think, when we were growing up, there was no internet. We had dial-up just about. I remember the days where I was working in my first job as an insurance broker, T-girl first before they let me loose on the books, was a book. And I had to put the number, you'd work out. So age 18 to 20, 3 points. Postcode area, 2 points. And then you'd add it all together and you'd work the premium out. I worked for estate agents where property details were typed by the secretary, pictures were sent off, and then you'd have a sticky print picture to stick onto the property details to then do a mail out, manual mail out, pigeon slots, That's
And when you put everything in perspective, what you have now at our disposal, do you think now we're just in a world of opportunity because you have all these things that quicken the pace up, you think?
You would have thought, right, back then as an estate agent, we used to charge 2.75% as a fee. And you would have thought, my target was 10 sales, estate agency, when I started working in estate agents. Target was 10 sales a month. So you would have thought that by speeding up the process, we should be able to relax. But instead, speeding up the process is now they're pushing you harder and faster because they don't want you to do 10, or you do 20. In fact, you know what? This system allows you to do 3 times the work that you could have done without, because we've streamlined it. We want you to do 40 sales a month. So they just whip you harder and make you produce more.
That reminds me, actually, if we talk about property from back in the day, the good old days of 100% mortgages and all that sort of stuff. Fast forward now, 2025. Obviously, this country, Britain, the average Brit does have an obsession about owning properties and owning portfolio and being a landlord and so forth.
It's cultural, maybe. Landowners from back home, farmers, they had land and they've carried it forward. The Sikhs, they're classic landlords. So you think about the Indians when they came here, and maybe even the Pakistanis. they were farmers. They bought land. And then when they came here, they bought land.
Yeah.
And but the difference, I think, between, I'll tell you because of my experience with these investors in the Sikhs, what they did was, whether they're doing it for investment or for their own home, they would graft hard, Mr. and Mrs. Graft, eat dal chawal, one bag of atta, one bag of rice, one bag of, the bags of dal, and they would pay their mortgage off like this.
No takeaway.
And they haven't even got it in their religion for them not to have a loan. It's just that's something culturally embedded in them not to have debt. And so they were the ones that.
Do you think now that it's still a worthwhile venture? I mean, not for the non-Muslims out there, I guess, because there is the slack of the mortgage perspective from the Muslim guests and their viewership. But for the non-Muslim guys who are thinking, I want to be a property guy, I want to be a landlord. In today's day and age, with all the rules, the laws, the taxation, is it even still worth going down that road in this country?
Having experienced property investment in Malaysia, I would say that there's a lot more opportunities elsewhere than here. Because here, new taxes coming out for landlords, landlords or even the rent to renters is the tax for Airbnb. And it's putting a bigger squeeze on the profits and making viability of businesses that are already functioning to fail. Because that extra tax is just all eating in. If you think of buy-to-let, you would rent your house out, and previously you could offset that mortgage against your income. Yeah, it was worth it. And now you can't do that unless it's limited company. And limited company interest rate is greater than the standard buy-to-let in your personal name. So with the taxes might be better because everybody thinks, oh yeah, let's do it in a limited company. It makes sense from multiple tax reasons, but the interest rate's higher. And they say it's because there aren't as many players in the field. And eventually there will be. That's what I was told when I was offering them. But I don't think that's what it is. I just think it's commercial, and commercial is always going to be more than residential.
And do you think that the writing's on the wall, like in a sense where you can see the environment is so hostile about being a landlord and so forth, that given that, it's a clear indication that the government is not really interested in.
They're not interested.
In fact, they're deterring people from becoming.
They are deterring them. I think when it first was announced, I thought, I remember the day when I was in my letting agency, HMRC wrote to us, this is at least 5 years before the implementation of those tax changes. And don't forget, when they implemented it as 25% increments before it hit the whole 100% of, and then you've now got a relief. So, so you could claim, say, 75% of the mortgage, then it was 50% of the mortgage and 25, right? And I got an email from HMRC asking me for all of my landlords and the properties. So this was before. So you got to think 5 years before they started this, before digital really hit, before COVID, because COVID was a bit the crunch, wasn't it? Where they put all of the digital stuff in, locked us up and did what they needed to do. Yeah. And so they, and I, straight away, I was like, okay, this means that they're homing in now, because so many of the landlords, being a mortgage advisor, knew that they're how they were conducting themselves. Let's just put it that way without letting too much away. Conducting themselves in their tax returns.
No, that makes sense.
So I was making phone calls.
Would you? Because you mentioned obviously Malaysia is a great spot for investing, property buying. Is that something you'd consider?
Oh, 100%.
Looking into now?
Right. So let's talk about the UK. It is mortgages are where they are. Let's just say you're a landlord and you've got 100%, an unencumbered property is paid off. You don't want to rent your house out anymore because their tenants have got significant rights, and you don't even own your own house. Well, you own it, but it's not yours because you've contracted to somebody else, and the law is on the side of the tenant. I've heard lots of things about this, but I still think that there is an element of fairness that has to be had for the tenant. Because when we were doing management, unfair landlords, inexperienced landlords, Unfair landlords. My brother's coming to stay in my area, so I need you to leave. Well, hang on a second. That's their home. They've decorated it. They've done everything to it. They're looking after it. They're paying their rent on time. So why are you doing this to them? This is their home. Would you like somebody to come along? So that was, I never liked it when that occurred. And then there was, what was it? There was the ones where they just didn't like the tenant because the tenant was complaining about repairs. And then you've got the inexperienced one who thinks that it's the tenant's responsibility to redecorate their house and look after it, and they should give it back exactly as they received it. And you're like, no, it's not like that. So this took away the inexperienced landlords and left you with the professionals. So from an estate management perspective, it was welcomed that we get to deal with the professional landlords and not the ones that are out to one shot type of rent their houses out and you know, the ones that just want the rent and they have it's not their profession. So we had that. So in a way, it was kind of welcomed. I liked that side of things, but it does, you know, you can think you created the problem for yourself. You think it's always been landlords. I can say landlords are greedy. They don't do things ethically. They're not all of them, because I've met so many brilliant ones. And I was a good landlady. I've still got properties right now, and I'm not going to go pumping their rent up just because the market says, you know, right now that's what they're doing, 200, 300, 400. I talk to tenants all the time because of my TikToks where, you know, struggling families I understand mortgage rates have gone up, but struggling families are being asked to pay £200-300 a month more.
It is in that market, in that industry, you really are dealing with some of the most rawest emotions of greed.
Look, we are Muslims, apparently, landlords, and our rizq is written. I have learnt that very recently, I have to say, right? Because having grafted hard, sometimes 12 hours, I'll be stuck on it and made X amount of money. When I went to Malaysia, or even in the UK, in fact, I was working less because things had changed a bit. So I couldn't do as much working as I was working. So, but my money didn't change. And then when I was in Malaysia, let's say, for example, I lost £500 a month. Give it a few days, something new comes through the door, £500 a month. And I'm like, oh, okay, makes sense. That was replaced with that, alhamdulillah. And that's when I realized more that we say your rizq is written by Allah. We say it, but we don't know it and we don't feel it and we don't believe it. We think that if we work, and this is what I say to everybody that I meet, priority is your salah. Get that done first. After that, do your business. Because no matter what happens, whatever is due to you, Allah's going to give you. And there's no point in spending 12 hours of your day grafting and chasing after something, because believe me, relax, it's going to come. It does. It automatically walks through your door when you release to it. So yeah, what you were saying about landlords and money and greed, especially if they haven't got a mortgage, you know, especially. You are in a fortunate position that Allah has given you property with no mortgage. And how much do you want?
Yeah. I'm of the opinion, I know guys say that obviously the mortgage rates have gone up, so we have to charge them more. But the funny thing is, when the mortgage rates were really low, you wasn't charging them any less, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the mortgage rates, and also landlords started to sell, didn't they? A lot of landlords. Landlords are going to carry on selling. That's the drive. That's the way that the government want it. They don't want people buying buy-to-lets. They want to open them up for first-time buyers, because it was out of control, realistically. Because if you had money, then you could buy, and it meant that you were creating a lot of wealth because the housing market's strong, and that's the only way, really. When do you ever really if you've got a good job, you get 50 grand a year salary, which will get taxed. But if you've got a property, you could make 100 in a year, just like that.
Yeah.
Without even working. So, you know, people were getting smart and wiser, and so many more were doing it, finding ways around getting the 25% deposit, and owning property. But the government, the system doesn't want that. So They don't want landlords. They want first-time buyers to be able to buy. They want first-time buyers in the system flow, working, taking their money in taxes, paying it back in, and just keep going until you're 65 and you might own your house.
Yeah.
But you might not.
And then when you die, we'll take a little bit more off you as well. Just
Yeah, they don't know. Let's just be realistic, right? Because I mean, TikTok and places like that, they go inheritance tax, but you have got a good £500,000 allowance before the HMRC is going to tax you. And if you do a bit of planning, then you'll have no IHT. They just go on about it and scare people. Don't forget, social media is all about scaring people into content. If I talk about stuff like that, my content will go like, into the hundreds of thousands. If I talk about real stuff, then you won't get it. If you fear monger people, but I mean, I've connected with some solicitors to guide me correctly and accountants on IHT. My best friend, Sarah Jane, she's one of my circle. She's a chartered accountant. She's a smart lady. And Mariam is the solicitor. I've just recently linked with a solicitor who deals with Islamic law.
Okay.
But I wouldn't classify it as Sharia. It's Islamic wills.
That kind of leads to another question. Where do Islamic finance companies get it wrong? Because if you ask anybody about getting an Islamic mortgage or Islamic finance, the response I usually get is they're way too expensive. Their fees are much more higher. Some of them say that their fees are actually just in line with the base mortgage rate as well. So I can't see the difference. So are they getting it wrong, or are they just not doing it well enough?
My understanding is that because there aren't enough providers, it becomes expensive. But that's what somebody mentioned, because I said there is no real difference between the two. I mean, there is a difference because they buy the property, you don't buy the property, they own it. And then what you pay, let's say as a rent, for example, you pay towards the capital reduction of that house. And then once you've paid it off, they transfer it into your name. But it comes with legal complications. And it's a structure that has been set up to allow them to make their purchase with the contracts containing the right words that don't conflict with Sharia.
That's what I'm hearing a lot. It's mainly the wording, which is just changed, obviously manipulated, but just...
It is. I tell you, I've just seen a lender, Islamic new company on the scene. But let me just go back on that, because I had a debate with somebody long time ago. He was working for a bank in Pakistan. I said, tell me about your mortgages. How are they? How do they work? Et cetera, et cetera. And he told me, and I said, well, that's exactly the same as the way that I understand a mortgage is. So you go out, you find a house, you buy the house, you own the house. It's in your name. The bank gives you some money, and they put a charge over the house. The house belongs to you. The debt is separate. So that's how conventional mortgages work. I think with Islamic mortgages, I need to learn a little bit more about them, but they buy the house and then you rent the house from them and then they give it to you eventually. So it becomes terminology. That's it. That's all it is. Now, if I look at today's terms, because obviously mortgages evolved and changed and lots of things have been happening. I didn't think back in the day that they were bad because you were looking at rates as low as 1%. Brilliant. £1,000, you're paying primarily a lot of capital and a very little amount of interest. So I didn't see it as a riba. I didn't see it as exploitation. Really, what made me understand it more was October the 7th, because you understood then actually more about the elites and the banks and who owns them and what they fund. And once that made more sense, then to me, I was like, okay, this is not good.
I think Pandora's box has been opened. We've all kind of...
Why did we not see it before?
The mask has come off.
Why did we not see it before, though?
I think we all had an inkling, but now it's to such a degree that when you see that level of carnage...
Yeah.
And a so-called educated...
But there was carnage before. I remember going to a protest in London before. Yeah. But we just didn't have that. Why did we not have Is it a lack of understanding? And now social media has allowed us. Maybe this time, I'll tell you what the difference is. This time, we're seeing the real deal. We're seeing people actually coming onto social media and talking about it and showing us. Whereas before, you didn't see that. I mean, I don't recall seeing
There was a detachment.
You had Facebook. You didn't
Yeah.
have TikTok, did you, back like the last time?
There's one kid from Gaza I follow, actually. He's a gym guy, lives in Gaza. He makes content quite regularly, to be fair with you. And he is... What I love about this chap, I'm going to shout him out for sure. What I love about him is he finds humor in what he's doing. He actually makes content which is a bit humorous, but he shows you the dark side of things, which is like, here's my house. This is what I'm going back to.
Yeah.
Like, the cost of food is X, Y, and Z. But they've developed personalities. But because there was a detachment that we had from the people of Gaza and people around the world generally. But what we saw now, I think
now is, I don't recall seeing the reality. Before, it was, you desensitized, weren't you?
Yeah.
You were normalized. Afghanistan, Iraq, all of that happened before. And then obviously we saw Palestine, but not like you see it now. And you can't help but see that and feel. If you don't feel, then you aren't human. So the minute anybody comes to me and questions me on my faith, strength of faith, intention of action, I'm not a scholar. You know, I am not educated. I've never ever claimed to be. Yeah, I'm an influencer and I'm on social media, and I might tell you what my thoughts are and use those thoughts to have topical discussions, but don't come at me and say, you know, quotes. Thank you for sharing the information with me. It's great. Thank you for that. But I've never claimed to be anything else. All right, I'm in an influential position and what I say matters, but I don't say things that say Islam says this. I'm saying I say this. Let's talk about it.
You know, I do find, Muslim TikTok or Muslim social media.
The police.
It's a little bit toxic.
It's horrible.
It is horrible. What?
I think you're supposed to be Muslim. And actually, the first part of your personality is your character. You know, the best part of Islam is the characteristics.
Yeah.
And actually, you're not displaying a smidgen of that. I don't find you approachable. I don't find you friendly. I don't find you compassionate or kind in any way that you approach me as a female as well. So, bring me something that shows. This is the unfortunate thing about where people are today in Islam. Just because I'm journeying myself and I'm documenting my journey digitally and I'm sharing my thoughts with you, doesn't mean that you come out and attack. And there's a really funny thing. Do you know what? You know that Akmal, that solicitor, I don't know his name, Akmal.
Which one? The defense guy?
Yeah.
Birmingham lad.
I think it's Birmingham.
Yeah.
So he said something on his podcast, which was really helpful. And he said the UK actually only has 7% Muslims, right?
Yeah.
And only 1% of them pray. Now, I think that's a fact. You know what? You'd be surprised actually.
No, but it's like a fact he just came up with. You can't really source
I don't know. I think there might be a source.
It's a good way of like looking at things. Like, generally, you could. I mean, like,
he hasn't made that up, surely.
Well, 25% of statistics are made up on the spot, aren't they?
25% of
statistics are normally made up on the spot.
I don't know. Maybe it'd be an interesting stat to raise, because I don't think he's far wrong. I actually don't think he's far wrong. You might be in a circle where you are mixing with people that do. But I came from a circle of Muslims surrounding me that didn't. So, and I'm not knocking anyone, because character first. If you pray or not is between you and Allah. You're going to get your rewards or your justice it's for you. You're praying for you. You're not praying for Allah. Said it was a farz, but you're praying for you. You're the one that's going to benefit. Allah doesn't need us to pray to him. It's not for that. It's for us. So, but my point is this, that the hypocrisy is huge.
Massively.
Yeah.
I remember, like, as you're touching down on, during the Gaza thing, a lot of non-Muslims were looking at people of Palestine with such revere, like how sincere they were to their religion.
Yeah.
And I literally saw someone's growth. This American lady who was like, I'm picking the Quran up today, and I saw
I saw all of that.
It was wild.
Yeah.
And she becomes Muslim,
Yeah.
right? And she's got a hijab on, and I saw the comments, and someone was like, you need to get rid of your dog straight away.
Oh, exactly. That's what I mean.
It's day one.
I'm telling you, I helped people were coming to me because at that time I was on my journey. Of course, I was on my journey, as in I'd just started. So October the 7th, I think it was April, May, June time that I started to wear hijab. Literally just switched like that overnight, whole wardrobe change. Whereas prior to that, I was wearing, I never ever wore something revealing as in skin. I might have wore something that was a tight top and tight trousers, but I was, let's say, covered. But overnight it just flipped. The whole wardrobe went, the whole shoes and the bags and all that nonsense.
Yeah.
Do you know how complex that makes your mind? It's so simple to just have an abaya and a scarf and, sod the makeup, sod everything else. You're not fussed with it.
But did you feel like when you made that switch over, was there someone that would try to pull you back saying, oh, well, that hijab's a bit too loud, that colour?
I was never into loud colours in my normal wardrobe anyway.
What I'm getting to is like...
I'll tell you what I did get is people did not expect me. Never expected this person here too, because of such an open-minded person. Because I've always said that the way you behave, the way you treat other people is more characteristical of you being a Muslim rather than what you show on the outside.
100%.
So the reason why, and I covered this in the last podcast that I did, the reason why I wore hijab was because I wanted to be able to click, pray. All right, Allah said hijab is, it's good for females to cover, and there's mass debates on that blooming thing now as well, really, isn't there? So and it's in the wherever written, but my purpose was to be in a position where I can just stop, drop, that's it. That's what I want to be able to do, hence why. And the other thing was being recognized as a Muslim. That was important to me. That's why I did it, and nothing to do with anything else.
There's no question. There's a business point here as well. Some people are afraid to be too overtly Muslim because it feels in an environment. Let's face it. There must be a brother out there working for Elon Musk who's a bit divided. Think, do I still work for this guy or not? And then you have to think about people who venture themselves.
Well, it's a bit like
owners.
Boycott.
Yeah,
people that are working for boycott companies.
Look, the atmosphere is such, and we can see the writings on the wall. There are people that are boycotting us. I don't want to work with a Muslim. I don't want to deal with another Muslim guy or halal. And it happens, right?
Oh, okay.
And what happens is you've got guys who try to circumvent that by not growing the beard, not wearing the hijab.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Do these things.
Should
Don't be so overt about it.
I went to London and yesterday, and I was thinking, everybody thinks that you have to look a certain way. You go work in the city, you go for a podcast, you go for whatever. You've got to wear a certain attire. When I was in Malaysia, I was podcasting, and I was like, I'm going to wear my hijab, I'm going to wear my abaya. It looks nice, it's easy, it's, but they said, no, we want you to wear suits. Wear a suit, wear the silk scarf and wear it like this and put the face of makeup on. And I just, I did what they told me to do, but it just reminded me of the days back in the UK, working in the bank. You got to wear a suit, you got to wear this, you got to present yourself as this. Otherwise people aren't going to take you seriously. In business, you had to power dress. No, actually you don't.
Firm handshake.
Yeah, all that rubbish. You know what? None of that matters. You can go dress, as long as you're clean and tidy and presentable. I think that this is great. It doesn't take me long to get ready at all. So your attire should not, and the best lesson I've had on that is Malaysia, because it doesn't matter what brand of shoe you wear, what clothes you wear, whether you're dressed to the nines, they're still going to treat you the same. They have got a fabulous, their adab and character.
They do a great culture.
Culture, but it's a sunnah.
Yeah.
It's a sunnah.
They're quite gentle people.
They're very gentle. They're very polite. They're respectful and humble. Very humble.
Can I ask you a question? When you land in Malaysia, you're going to a country where you've got no contacts, no network.
Kind of haven't I, though?
Sort
of social media.
But for example, how do you land in a foreign country and okay, I need to start networking here with the right people?
No, I don't think that at all.
Not at all?
No, I don't.
You just land there and are you at like a chatterbox? How would you... What would you say? Because a lot of people think about... Let's face it, you live here... look, I've lived here long enough. I've got my network. I need
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Like I
to
have.
reach out
I
to.
thought that as well, right? Because I've been born and raised in Gravesend.
Yeah.
I've got a fantastic network. I know lots and lots of people.
Great lawyers, great solicitors.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
circle.
Yeah.
Cool. You
Yeah.
get what you want, right? And now I'm in an area where nobody knows me, but I don't care about that. I don't. As long as I've got enough money to pay my way and eat dinner and cover my roof and do what I want to do.
Yeah.
I am not fussed about anybody that enters my world because it's my world, my direction, my world. And I'll do whatever it is I see that comes my way. I don't plan anymore. I was the biggest business planner type person of month to month to day target to, I knew exactly where I was going and direction. And now I don't. Now I just go with the day. What's happening today? Let me check my diary. That's it. I could be dead tomorrow.
That's one way of looking at it, yeah.
Well, it's fact.
Yeah, I guess.
It might not break up. I was saying to my mum, well, you
might not die tomorrow. You might just have a very long, slow life when nothing
bonus if you have a long life, because you have got so many sins in the reverse part of your pathway, and you need to carry this life forward as much as possible,
make up for something,
to earn the rewards.
So has your values, or not value, would you say your definition of success has changed since you've been more practicing? Because before, when you're obviously business being business, it's about sales, money, growth. Now when you go through a spiritual transformation, it then becomes
what? All right, look.
What does success look like?
Did I even look at anything? I have never. I remember the days, right, when I was working for Warden Partners Estate Agents in, where was I working? Walderslade and Gillingham. And I went to go to see the sales manager for your quarterly, monthly, whatever it is you do. And and the one-to-one with your figures, you had to go in, give him. And, he said, right, we want you to do this. We want you to do this. We want you to do that. And I said, I'm just going to do my best. Just know that I'm going to do my best. When I do something, I'll do it the best that I can. I'll do it as well as I can. I will complete the task. And I hope that I can do what you're asking me to do. Can't guarantee it. Can't guarantee it at all. So, and that's with anything in life. I will aim to do my best. And that's all I'm doing on a daily basis. And then the stats and the figures are just analyzing to see where I am, how I'm doing. Like TikTok, for example, it's just the numbers. I know that I'm doing something well if I see the numbers going up. I'm not doing so well if the numbers aren't moving. If they're not moving, what am I doing wrong?
Lately, you've been posting about the birth certificate thing.
Interesting, isn't it?
It's interesting.
But you know what? Apparently the lawyers, people that study law, contract law, they all know this as a fact.
Yeah, but I look at it as, are you sure it's just not a traditional thing?
How do you mean
I can't see, I mean, like in a sense, because this country is built on royalty and so forth. Like, I can't imagine King Charles coming down one day and like, I want this brown boy. He belongs to me. Maybe Prince Andrew might.
Give you a fan, wouldn't he? Go, look what Carlisle, isn't it?
Yeah. But again, I just feel like it's one of those things. It's because this country is so steeped in tradition and all that
it was a formation, wasn't it? As in, when you go back over history and you look at that,
we are subjects.
Yeah, we are.
Of the crown.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Technically,
we work, we provide the taxes, and then the crown.
Our property doesn't belong to us.
No.
The king technically could say, well,
goodbye, and I'm taking everything.
Yeah, technically.
Yeah, see you later. Give me your passport, get out of the country.
The government could do that now still as well.
Yeah, they can. They can.
How right do you think this government will go? Not this government, but generally, okay, let's have a 5-year projection.
Yeah.
The way things are going.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to go are we veering so far to the right? Because one thing came to my mind. Geert Wilders, the Netherlands guy, he was hardcore right. He's hard right. He's now in power in Holland. There's loads of Muslims who live in Holland.
Yeah.
And they've said to me, like, I think he's figured out that you can't really get rid of us because we turn the economy over as well. He can stop more coming in. I get that. But generally, he's not kicking us all out. So even if a government came in here and was ultra right wing, I know we're kind of going a bit off topic.
No, it's fine.
If they were ultra right wing, technically the economy would collapse, I think, in a heartbeat if they were to get rid of all the brownies and it
would be a very difficult thing to do because I don't think that the government's, it's really hard to say, right? If you bring the Islamic card into it, then you're thinking Dajjal, you're thinking Zionist, you're thinking agenda, you're thinking all of that.
Yes.
I will say that there's a lot of propaganda leading people to think that the British are Islamophobic, and there may well be, and we're probably guilty of some of the facts that happen around Muslims that don't make it easy for themselves.
what?
We've said extremists ourselves. Stay away from the extremism, show compassion, show unity to your neighbor, and we should all be able to get on fine. Going back to government, there's always a roller coaster. There's got to be. Look, you have to understand. When Palestine happened and everybody was attacking the Arabs and saying, "You guys are doing nothing," But what they failed to realize is that there's policies and treaties that have been signed that bind them. And actually, it may be the West who quite cleverly planned the process of getting these guys to sign in, entangling them up so much so that when they go and do what they want to do, they have their hands are tied. They can't do anything. So, they're donating, they're giving lots in charity to the countries that need, but they physically can't do anything because of where they've been tangled up, and it's damaging for their own country. So I just think you have to consider that it's not all about the here and now. There is more to it.
I mean, back to what you were saying, Britain isn't very Islamophobic. If you were to judge Britain based upon the comments you see on social media, you would think,
scary as. Yeah.
But generally, they're not. But
Let's calm down. Let's all just calm down.
But you were saying something earlier about how we don't make things really easy for ourselves.
No.
And that reminds me of something. I don't know how you feel about it, but there was a big hoo-ha about Winston Churchill's statue, right? Now, I'm of the opinion, to some people, criminal, war criminal, and everything else.
Yeah.
Everybody else in this country, he is a national hero. Okay. So technically, I'm thinking, do we non-Brits have a position to say, your folk hero, we want to take him down?
Why is there even the debate? Like, why can't we just let them live and they let us live? Sorted.
Yeah.
Like, that should happen. We shouldn't care. But the trouble is I tell you what it is, all these imams popping up, all these people that have educated and think they've got 2 pence and they're putting it in, and then the people that aren't as clever are picking it up and going, Gaffer. You can't say that. That's Allah's creation. You're lucky you were born a Muslim and you think you're right. But you can't brand somebody because they drink and they do whatever they do.
Yeah.
I don't care. Live your life, do what you do. I'll treat you nicely. That's bottom line for me.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Back to business a little bit more now. Recently, it said loads of millionaires are leaving at an incredible rate in this country.
I think I said millions, but I don't think it's that many.
But there are.
There's a lot. But that's happening all over the world, and I think it's because we as a country are taxing heavy. I've spoken to, obviously I went to the Asian side, and I can tell you, people think that Dubai is popping. Wait for the Asians. What area of East Asia? Is it East Asia?
What country are you talking about?
Malaysia, China.
I think it's Far East, I think.
No, Far East is the Arab countries, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, Far East is.
Oh, that's the Middle East.
Oh, that's the Middle East, actually. Right, yeah, sorry. Yeah, right.
Yeah, further, 14 hours flight.
Far East, East Asia?
Yeah.
East Asia?
East Asia, actually.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever.
Oh, East Asia.
Geography I did do geography, actually.
Oh, horrible.
But I never went that way. Now I'm there, but I'm telling you that side's happening. Because all the tech giants are actually setting up base in Malaysia. Okay. MTech is a company in Malaysia who is seeking actively people to come and work for them. They're never going to be able to fulfill those employment roles in the country. They're going to call on people from outside. You could be on the what are they called? Those call centers. You can leave the UK, go over there and get a job in a call center because there so many of them are opening. And they're going to want you British speakers, aren't they? Because we have that communication skill that not everybody has in the call centers around the other parts of the world. So that, and why? Because China has risen already, and they are there. China is right there next to Malaysia. There's a lot of Chinese in Malaysia. If you understood the history around why, but there's a lot of Chinese in Malaysia, and they're industrious. And they're bringing that attitude to all of the Asian side, Vietnam, Indonesia, all of those Asian sides. So I'm telling you, I know there was a guy who said it on TikTok before, the Asian side is going to rise, and it's going to rise up really strong and well over the Western side. The Western side have lost the plot when it comes to a lot of things. That side's going to rise. So that's where you want to be.
The West will just ban it, I suppose. The West will just ban it.
Well, the West, they're trying to, aren't they? They're trying to, and they're making excuses around why. But actually,
it's really against every rule of free market capitalism that they are supposed to be adhering to. to make the world a better place?
Isn't we're not capitalists, are we? Not really, as a country. No, they don't want that. What they want is they want and always have had, and they've made you believe that we are capitalists, but realistically they have wanted and have control over you completely. There's no democracy. You think there is, but there isn't.
If all these millionaires are leaving, does that mean that small companies that are still here have the opportunity to thrive or not?
I think the definition of thrive, I think that there is always going to be the small business. There's always going to be a need for that little business. But I think as you know, technology advances, they're not. Technology means that they don't need the small businesses. What they want is they want the corporations. And then they want everybody else underneath to become the employees of those corporations because the technology allows them and they have the money to buy that tech and the robots and the AI and advances. So I think eventually all these small businesses are going to get pushed out the scene. My first entry into business was probably my mum and dad. You know, and going back to how it was for them, it was a lot easier than it is today. Today, it's tighter, it's harder. They're bringing in regs, they're bringing in taxes, they're bringing in any possible difficulty there can be for you as an employer to run a business.
Certainly feels like that.
Maybe there'll be more freelancers. I don't know. I imagine there will be more freelancers. But I would say that the drive is for everybody to be employed by the corporations, and those that aren't
smart enough to operate a computer, dumb enough not to ask why.
That is a saying, but I think there's eventually, like you say, there's going to come a point where everything's going to get taken over by tech and machines and AI and robots, and even, you know, what Elon Musk was saying, they don't need the humans. If they don't need the humans, what are they going to do with them?
Humans can be annoying. That makes sense.
There's the whole country and the world is being run for the purpose of the humans, and if there aren't as many, then I guess, you know, it means I don't have to work as hard.
It's going to get a bit dark. So, I mean, you spoke really highly about Malaysia, but you're back here. What brings you back here? Did Border Patrol ask you the same thing?
Everyone's asking, and I know Kazi, proper, what do they call it when they clickbaited the last podcast? Because we didn't even talk about why. I'm sure we didn't talk about why I was back. Did he ask me why I was back?
I think it was in there somewhere.
Yeah, but he didn't really, he didn't hit on that because he was too busy talking about, I can't remember that. I keep forgetting his name. What was that guy that did a little talk on my Merry Christmas? I can't remember.
Who was the guy? Was it Alidawa?
Alidawa, that's it. I don't know why my brain has somehow removed his name.
Yes.
So I can see him, and maybe it's just old age. I don't know, but I've forgotten his name. What was I saying? Yeah, that he. So let's say what brings me back. There's a lot going on, as everybody knows. I'm up to all sorts. Let's just say I don't. Like I said to you, I don't plan. Things happened. There's a lot of things that happened in Malaysia that people don't know about. So yeah, you saw me holidaying, traveling, buying a house, getting a little podcast job. That's what you saw. But there were lots of other things happening, and it was me with my stand back, have a look, analyze, and see. So let me give you this. If you buy Adobe in pounds, you will pay more than you would if you were buying it in ringgits.
Yep.
Why is that? Like, it should just be a conversion, right?
Yeah, it's software at the end of the day.
It's software, the same price. If it's let's just use £10 as an example, it should be £10 and then 57 ringgits on the other side. But it's not. It's cheaper by at least 30%. So if, for example, you wanted to buy something like that, you change the region on your phone and you make your purchase, or, you know, but even that's now technology is smart enough to know that you've just changed it for that purpose and still charges you. But I saw, why are they doing this? This is very interesting. Why is everything more expensive in the pound? So you get manufacturing in China, which is predominantly, you know, that's where the industry is. And people are buying things over here. Let's use Alibaba, and selling it, and they're running a business. In Malaysia, their version of, let's call it Amazon, is Shopee and Lazada. So then I'm like, Amazon, obviously I've got Amazon on my phone. Not that I use it. I don't shop with Amazon anymore. I do my absolute best not to buy anything on Amazon. Won't go into detail why, just...
Oh, say it's on the list.
Amazon is.
On the list.
Amazon is.
Ah, I see. This is a bit like when someone tells you your favorite sweet's got gelatin in it. I never knew.
Okay, well,
You told me now. It's kind of like, oh.
I thought Amazon was like, I'm literally not going on there to buy
It's on the
anything.
list.
I believe it is.
You don't sound too confident now.
Well, I always thought it was. We'll have to ask the audience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Ask the audience. Anyhow, let's say.
Okay.
So that's their version. So you got Shopee. So I'm looking at Shopee and I'm looking at a product and then I'm looking at Amazon. I'm going, that is cheaper here, understandably, because China's delivering to Malaysia. China through Alibaba and any other ways is delivering to the UK. So I'm thinking, what else is there? Let me just rewind a little bit, right? My dad was a car dealer. My mother, she worked in factories, but she was smart. My mum's smart. She was always into business minded. She had 6 kids and they had the shop. The factory was after, actually. They ran the first corner shop,
Oh, yeah.
the first one in the whole of Gravesend. And she used to deliver the atta and deliver the rice and stuff like that, So she ran a very successful business whilst having her kids. And that's where I get it from, the drive. Even now you talk to her, I can tell you that she's with it. Yeah, I can ask her for advice. She's 75, mashallah. She's a few ailments, but she's with it. Strong on business, strong on health, knowledge. Why do you think I've got it? I've got it from her and I've just followed it on. So anyway, they were business minded. And obviously I started to work for people, worked in the bank. And then I started business probably about 25, 26, I think I was maybe, when I first started self-employment. Did estate agency, ran that really well. And your 20s to 40s really, you'll relate to this, but your 20s to 40s really is you learning a lot. And once you get to like 40, you can repeat now, but you can repeat that and do it faster. So let's just say estate agency. I did the estate agency. I ran a little coffee booth. I even opened a food outlet because I was buying property. And as a landlord, it's easy. Landlord's easy. You buy the house, you hand it over to your estate agency. They deal with it. You even forget. People say to me, how many houses you got? Which is a stupid question because you don't ask somebody that. But they do ask you. And I'll go, I don't know. And they'll say, oh, don't be daft. Of course you know. And I'll, no, I actually don't know. Because I'll do what I do because this is my work. It's my work. I'll buy it and I hand it to the team. They get on with it. I don't have to think about it. And then obviously I opened the food business. I only opened the food business because to me it's fun. I'm thinking this could be a great little kebab roll place. Let's jazz it up and make it pretty. And people thought it was a franchise. That's how good it was. But I'd purchased this building that came with a kitchen. So I was like, oh yeah, let's do this. It's only around the corner. I get free lunches. Okay, let's do it. There's a stupid reason for it, but it was the reason. I don't have to cook. I don't want to cook. Let the restaurant cook and I can go there and get my food and the kids can eat there for free and sorted, right? Dinner's done. So we did it and we did the kebab rolls and the curries and samosa and that usual stuff. And it went really, really well. But
in Malaysia, you did this?
No, this is UK.
So, UK.
This
You've
is,
done all this here?
I have done this, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've done this. So I'm journeying with you. So like,
back.
I started off with the estate agency, property management, but also a directly authorized mortgage broker with the estate agency. That was my first shout. I did it with a girlfriend and we had a really good run. It was amazing. It was fun. She was like, we used to call her my wife. We had such a great time. Eventually then she went her way, I went mine, I did the mortgages. But on that journey there, that's when I was building portfolio and buying commercials. When the whole HMRC thing came in, I thought, well, residential's not worth it. Let's go commercial. So anything commercial came on, good timing. It was at the low end and before others had realized that commercial is what you should be buying. And so I did that. But one of the commercials that I bought had a kitchen in it. So I opened G's Kitchen, Gravesend, kebab rolls, conveyor belt, sikh kebabs running off, tandoori naans, wrap it like a Subway. Anyway, it went well, but it was not, literally I worked there from the office. I left there at 6. I went to the, it's not, you could say it was like a takeaway, but it had seating. I went there. I was looking after the food hygiene, looked after the tills. Kids were in there. Everyone was in there. But after about 2 weeks, I put my hands up. This is not my life. This is not me. I'm not standing up at a tilt. I'm not doing. No, it's not easy at all. And anyone that ever says, I fancy doing food, I will always say to them, it is not easy. It's a really hard.
He pulled out after a year.
People think, oh yeah, you know what? You make like 100% profit and this and that. No, it's a really hard graft. Anyhow, what I'm trying to get at here is I'm an opportunist and I can't help but see it. So I went to Malaysia thinking I'm going to retire. I'm going to take it easy, you know, but the opportunities just slapping me in the face. I was like, there's so much actually. If people think that they can go to Malaysia and they're going to have nothing to do, if you are business minded, you will be able to do a hell of a lot. There's so much opportunity, more so I think there than there is here. I'd love to open a coffee shop, you know, because everybody opens coffee shops, I guess, if they're entrepreneurial. I don't know. I would like to, but there's something more. Now, as an influencer, so let's go back to journey, was estate agency, food. What I did was I sold it because I owned the shop, as I was telling you. Owned the shop, kitchen was in it, set the business up, sold the business for a premium, pumped my rent, right? So now that's all up and running. I like to get things turning, and that's what I'm good at. I'm good at systems. I'm good at organization, but I like the organization to be such that it turns, I move on to the next one. And that's probably the way that my life has gone. So estate agency was turning beautifully, and to the point that we didn't actually have to do anything. Everything was functioning, everything was in its place, and it was beautiful. Food, did it, ran it. Now, obviously, I don't want anything to do with it because it's hard work. So I was like, sell it. I've done my bit. I've made it turn. I'm successful. I'm happy. I'm content with, I've done my thing that I wanted to do. So the business was running, sold it to the Kurds. They paid me a premium. My rent is up. Now my residual income is going up and up and up, right? It's still there now, actually. I go past it and they give me a free lunch. So it's sorted. You know, I didn't even have to run it to get my free lunch. That was G's. And then, of course, I opened the mortgage brokerage. So sold off estates to my business partner and opened up the brokers. Unintentionally, again, I didn't have any intention of opening it, but I'm not going to go into the depths of that. It happened. So now what's happened is I've handed that over to the guys for nothing. I just said, yeah, crack on. There's a database. It's all yours. Carry on. Because I didn't want to continue. Somebody said to me I should have sold it. I said, no, don't sell it. Let them have it.
So you own the business?
Yep.
And you just handed everything over to someone to say, crack on?
Yeah.
And it was a database?
Yeah.
Of
5,000
leads and...
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody said I should sell it.
Why would you do that though?
Because I had other plans.
Okay.
And I can't say, look, I'm not going to say...
Aren't you ever afraid of like someone thinking, I've got all these leads, I can just do my own thing and...
Do it though, but you know what? No, I'll tell you this for free, that if I stuck around to sell it for 100, 200 grand and I lost all of that time trying to sell it and I maybe sold it, I wouldn't have done what I've done today in Malaysia. Like this is a whole experience. So don't forget, we were transitioning. I'm transitioning between this and October the 7th is happening. And I've got a broker's office. I've got a little estate agent as well that was running on the side because you can't not, if you're doing mortgages, you're doing portfolio landlords, right? So I had to, and just got somebody in that was looking after that because you know how to set it up. So let's do it. Software, all of that. It's all it takes. Not hard, is it really? You only need computers and an office and internet and a phone, right? Yep. And a majority of the brokers, they eventually were working from home. So my software was that, you know, the leads were coming in, they were falling into the software was pumping it out to the brokers and the brokers were doing their job and the company was getting 50%, the broker was getting 50%. And it was going very, very well. But then, you know, like I said, the tests came in, the hurdles came along, the October the 7th. And now I'm like, look at all of this. Tax. I pay a lot of tax. I was paying a lot of tax. Portfolios, limited company properties, partnership properties, the brokerage. Tax.
And the bit that suck about tax is you can't get police on time, you can't get an ambulance.
No, I don't care about any of that. I'm just fussed about where it's going.
No, it's going there, isn't
it? Yeah. So I'm saying, oh my God, I'm paying a lot of tax. I need to.
And it's been contributed to
Yeah.
that industry.
So then that's when my eyes opened to, like, you know what, scale this show down. And also the tawakkul I told you was coming. So I scale this show down. It really doesn't matter. Nothing matters because I can be dead tomorrow. Like that portfolio, fine. As long as I'm healthy, I'll do something else. I just want peace. I want debt free. I want easy. And so brokers, you can have that. The estate side of it was a portfolio of property, a little bit more on the ethical front from my perspective. So I sold that to one of my friend's kids. She's managing it. I'm mentoring her. She's at that start of her journey. She can do that. That's that. And then I go to Malaysia thinking I'm going to rest. I'm going to relax. I've got all this money coming in. I'm going to travel and I'm going to love my life and live the dream. And that's what you saw on the front. But alhamdulillah, to what Allah gave me, I'm very, very content and happy. I don't want a lot. When you get into this world of spirituality, I'm going to call it. I'm not going to call it Islam deen. I'm going to call it spirituality. Spirituality being a connection from between you and Allah. You don't want much. You don't care for anything. I don't wish to have, I actually bought a pair of trainers, not trainers like pump styles because trainers are blocky. I'm not into that. I want a little bit feminine. So I got these trainers. I thought that is all I'm going to wear. I don't want any other shoes. I want something that's going to last long. I didn't go for a nice fancy brand expensive because I could have done. I didn't. I went for, this is a good price, 30 quid. I'm going to wear that.
Nice pair of comfortable shoes.
I used to wear those Adidas ones, just they look like a pump type thing. I used to wear those, live and die in them. Anyway, similar to that, but not Adidas because we can't do that. So this was Puma, 30 quid. Have that. They look like they're going to last. And then one sensible, more professional shoe. That's it. I don't want anything else. I don't want loads of abayas and loads of clothes and loads of hijabs. And I don't want it. I want a suitcase of possessions because Allah says, live your life as a traveler. I can do that. I can lift my bags and I can go elsewhere. So Malaysia, there's something there because every influencer, everybody's going to me, you need to get a brand out, Saira. You know, you need to bring a brand out. So I was like, what do I do? And they're like skincare, hair care, makeup. I was like, yeah, skincare, fair enough, because people have got good skin and I do know how to. So I know some contents and I've got Chinese doctors and insights into herbal remedies and whatnot, maybe do supplements. We were actually thinking about doing supplements. It was going to be a Shilajit shot. As in a liquid shot that you can take on the run, but with ginseng in it, which would have doubled it up nicely and really given you that boost of energy and whatnot. So we were working towards that, but things weren't happening because when you go into the Chinese scene, you soon realize that all they're out for you. What you've got is you've got the real deal happening in the background, right? And then you've got this front. And the front are a whole load of agents that want you to buy samples for $50 a piece. Right, and they're going to rinse you. So soon realised that, and it wasn't going anywhere. So then I was looking at a very good hair product, actually. There was a very good hair product. But again, I went to manufacturers in Malaysia. They gave me, and I'm looking at the figures. I'm like, nah, this is like, I don't want to charge people that for that. And that's not going to work, not going to work. So I didn't progress with it. And I think there was something else that I was saying to my sons. And my boys are like bigger now, aren't they? So they want to do something. And I really want to pull them all in so we can do something together as a family. So I bought my house and then my house needed to be renovated and decorated. So I got the interior designers in, gave me my 3D plans, looked at it, gave me the bill. I'm like, I'm not paying you that. I can do that myself. Classic Pakistani style. I can do that myself. No, I can do that. I can do it because my background was, before my life got ruined and I got married, right? My background was, I wanted to go to the Kent Institute of Art and Design.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did fashion design at A-level. I did Graphcom technical drawing. I wanted to do architecture. I wanted to do interior design, some sort of design. Because when you're artistic, creative.
Yeah, you sound like a natural creative.
So fun. That's probably why I've ended up being what is classified as a creator. I don't think I've really put my everything into like me into my creativity. I haven't. Because you get lost when you go into social media, but I won't go into that. What I wanted to say was, I I have an eye for things. I have an eye for color. So you've got or design. So along come these interior designers and I'm like, yeah, that's good, but that's so done. Change it to this. Yeah, that's fab. Yeah, I like that. That can stay. But you know what? Do that to that and that will really pick it. So we were doing this together with the interior designers, furnishing, and I love that. I absolutely love it. Maybe I found my niche. And that gave me an idea about doing something that I've always wanted to do, but giving it to the UK as a brand and a product. So I don't know whether I should tell you, but...
You've gone so far into this.
No, I just don't know whether I should tell you because I don't want to say.
You've taken us up the hill, down the road, through the alleyway, up the road. We've gone everywhere now.
I know, we did it so quick as well.
You got to tell us where it's going with this. Because even I'm like, where's this going? We should go with this.
So there's a brand and there's a product. But if you were to put me into a product, what kind of product would you say? Because as a social media influencer, it has to have a brand because they all have their brands, don't they? And their products.
They all love their brands. They do apps. They do tea. They do apparel. Mainly, those
like females. What do? They do like a hijab, or they do an abaya, or they do a cream, or they do a hair oil, or range of the beauty. She did good. So
she did very well. Yeah.
So where, like really, actually, honestly, where would you see?
I don't know when you put all that into a mesh, the interior
design. Like you've got the whole mesh going on.
We've gone, because.
What do you think I would bring to the UK as a branded product?
As a branded product, that's a wild question. Because I've always seen you as a creative consultant. You could go into somewhere and tell them how to do things. Mm-hmm. I've always seen you as that.
That's happening as part of it.
Yeah. But then you brought in the whole software part, but I don't know if that was just the analogy. You mentioned Adobe has price.
Yeah, and I'm just using that as an example. Yeah, because anything is cheaper on that side.
We're talking property, we've done property.
I'm telling you what my real dream was.
Well, I don't want to dumb it down by saying a branded interior designer.
Close to. You're getting there. Warming up.
It's got to be.
It's a brand. It's a product.
It's a product for, what is it, software for interior designers?
Software? No.
Yeah,
I'm not tech. Yeah. I'm not tech.
So
I'm real deal.
Are you an interior designer that could? Okay, I know.
I'm going to give you a little bit more. I'll give you a little bit more because I don't know whether I should share this, but I reckon if you can get to it, then I won't.
So far down the thing.
Let's say it involves production and shipments, customs.
It's not helping at all.
No. Warehouses.
You've still got the interior design.
Is that the same? Yeah, think of the interior design. Come on, it's really easy. Actually,
I've got the interior designer here. What, a commercial interior designer?
No, commercial.
No,
commercial.
As in, like, the guy who goes to the shop to go, this is how you should do things, boom, 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 boom.
No.
Because you mentioned the shop earlier.
I'm giving something to the people as a brand that belongs to me that's going to, that they can buy.
That they can buy?
Yeah, because obviously I told you the brand is a
Physically?
Product. Physically, yeah. I told you they're doing skincare, they're doing makeup, they're doing toiletries and,
It's not homeware and stuff like that.
Could be.
Ish.
Could be.
Oh, like an IKEA type thing. Not IKEA type thing, but like furniture. Yeah, much better than that.
You're so spot on. Well done.
Look at that.
Oh my God, should I have even said this? Look, I'll tell you what it is. I am bringing the highest end of quality, but at a good price. How? So the same manufacturers that manufacture, not just for the likes of John Lewis, above John Lewis, really high-end furniture designed that's kind of in keeping with like the way trends are going. So we work together to choose the product and the design and the color and all of this. The same way that I was doing with the interior designers, I'm doing it with the manufacturers now. And I'll say, make that higher, change the color of this, put some arms on that, just interior type products.
Yeah.
And because the manufacturing is at such a high level of quality control, we're bringing in superb, like phenomenal. I mean, I love mirrors, for example, and you can get mirrors, but we can work on getting nicer mirrors, but tasteful, classy, but at a sensible price. Because when you're talking about the likes of, let's say, John Lewis, you're paying bucks for it because it's got that brand on it and because they have all of those overheads. So now let's say if I streamline all of that and I cut into the manufacturers in China and I export the product to the UK, to a warehouse who then does the immediate logistics and deliver it to your front door straight away, I can cut that price down by 40%.
That is interesting.
You think? What do you think? As in, it's too late anyway. It's done. So the shipment's here. So, and I'm going to launch it soon, and I will give discounts on the first, like everybody does, you know. But I've literally got the first hit of stuff coming to my house, and I love it. Honestly, it's so luxury.
Are you going to brand it as like what, Hayati interiors?
It's Hayati Luxe.
Oh,
Hayati Luxe furniture,
nice.
because it is luxury. It transforms. I had, for example, I've moved back into my house. I've taken it back from the Airbnb lady. She can have it back later if I, like when I go to Malaysia, because that's another little project plan that I'm doing. I do so much, and I wonder, people, like you look at me and you'll go, how do you fit all of this in? I'm like, well, I was done this morning. This morning I had gone through I'd literally done everything. I'd hit my first Zoom meeting at 10 o'clock. And I was done, even though, you know, I talked too much. I still was done by 11:30, and I was like, I'm going to have to go now. Otherwise I'm going to be late for everything else. So, but my point is that, I think, and you know how easy Allah made it for me? Can you imagine? Factories. I was struggling to bring even the basicest product out. And then I thought, let me reach out. And the next thing is, there's a whole, I mean, I've learned about something completely new, which is why it's exciting when it comes to exporting goods, and then the whole logistics of setting it all up. It's amazing. I can't wait for it to turn.
How amazing. And you heard it here first.
Huh?
We heard it here.
You heard it here first.
Look at that.
I know. I just thought, you know where I'm telling you, the furniture arrived yesterday in my house. So I said, what better time to talk about? And you know what it is? I'm excited. So when I'm excited, I need to talk about it. So you got it.
That's thank you so much for giving us that exclusive.
I'm glad you invited me here to talk about it.
I think we're incredibly excited to see where
it's exciting. I really want it to go well. I want people to be able to have all of that. Because there's so many people that, you know, you can't spend these days. And, you know, to even sleep on a bed that is, I haven't done beds yet, but I will go to beds. And I'm interested to design
your first
furnishing.
line of products. Would you go into what they're going to be?
I know why. And do you know why I know why? Why? Right? Everything's got a story with me. You know, I shipped all of my furniture from the UK to Malaysia. So I bought a dining table from an Italian brand called Danetti. Now, you might know about Danetti, you might not, but it's a nice brand of furniture. Or is it French or Italian? One of the two.
It sounds very Italian.
Italian, doesn't it? Danetti.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's go Danetti. So Danetti, where you'd have to do a Hayati in an Arab accent. I'm not going there. So I bought this beautiful dining set. Anyway, the table was gloss. Lovely kind of, can't remember the colour of it. Anyway, it arrives. It's got chips and dents and all sorts going on. So now I'm claiming against the insurance for the dining table. Fine, but I need a new dining table. And I'm looking on the Shopee site and Lazada site to see what's the latest going on for dining tables over here. So there's something that is ceramic. Ceramic is hard wearing, it is scratch proof, and you know, you get the nice sheen of the gloss. It's the same stuff that they use on the floors, tiles, but a nice thick quality, looks like marble. You can have all sorts of other designs on the ceramic, but I think the marble looks great without having the heavy weight, without having the heavy price. And we as Asians, like my dining table was an expanding one. So you have the smaller size for when we're sitting at home with our lot, and then when everybody comes over, you expand the table. So anyway, I was looking at a dining table, but it was a 30-day lead time for it to arrive. And I thought, yeah, we'll just wait for that because what I want and how I'm going to plan things. And that's what started the idea of having dining. What do us Asians do best?
Oh, eat.
We host.
Host, yeah.
We host. Come and eat. Come and eat.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, this dining table is amazing. It literally lifts. I like things that have functions. I think that's the testosterone in me coming out. Lift it, turn it, swivel it, and smooth.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and comfortable chairs.
This is really exciting.
Proper chairs, proper like nice coffee tables.
Yeah.
Mirrors. I'm waiting for the mirrors. I'm waiting for them to come to me with their first designs, and then I'd tweak the design.
Do you have like a
change
launch date in your mind, or are we just going to?
I have no idea. Well, I'm not testing it out because I knew what it was going to be like. I've seen all the functions because furniture is actually not easy. You know that. Furniture is difficult. You've got fire restrictions. You've got all the fabrics. You've got the weights. You've got lots of problems with actual furniture design. A lot more, but I'll go into that in a little bit more detail. We'll have to launch soon. Let's say soon. Wait for it. But it's so nice.
We've got to leave it there. I think, as we know, Sarah, we could talk forever.
I could talk about, there's a lot to talk about, isn't there?
But thank you so much. Thank you for giving us.
No, it's been a huge pleasure. I'm really glad that you asked me to come on because it gives me an opportunity to talk, but also for people to hear and know that.
I'm really glad you accepted. Because it was just on a whim as well, almost. I was having, it was Sunday evening. I'm bringing the podcast back. I'm going to do that. And your name came up for, I'll give it a shot. And you were like, why
Well,
not?
I'm always happy to help everywhere and anywhere. So.
And we got to record at an undisclosed location with our mobile setup.
I know. It's cool.
It's helped out. Cool. Thank you so much.
That's all right. You are welcome.
And
come again.
May your business have loads of barakah.
Inshallah. It's not for me. It's for the boys anyway. I don't want it. Alhamdulillah, I'm good. I'm comfortable. Allah's provided. I'm happy with one meal a day now. I've done made it. Everybody's on one meal a day. You can drink as much coffee as you want, but one meal a day.
And we're gone.